Come with us on this journey. Ow! You gave me the clap. That's not good.
All right, hey, here we are. Episode 2. What are we going to talk about today, Jim?
Well, what we wrote down on our outline was that we're going to talk about where ideas for short films come from. And, you know, when I was thinking about this earlier, we've really kind of gotten our ideas from several different sources. When we first started, as we mentioned in the last episode, we started out by doing the 48-hour film project, which kind of, you know, your ideas have to be sparked by the prompts that they give you. You know, you're assigned a genre, you're assigned a character and occupation, and, you know, you kind of take it from there. But then the other films that we've done, Meeting Dad, a short film that we did, was based on actually my mom's life or something that happened to my mom where she never knew her father because he died in a car accident right before she was born.
Which is such a cool idea. Such a cool story.
So, you know, so it was basically our imagining of what if, you know, in the afterlife she met her dad, what would they say to each other? The next film that we did after that, When I Go, was based on a play I had written for the Janesville Performing Arts Center. And so it was a reworked version of that. And then
and that play was about an hour and a half long. Would you
it
say?
was a 90-minute play.
It was a 90-minute play, right?
It was a 2-act play. And then Space Between was your idea, and it was an idea you'd been kicking around for
a
like
long
20
time.
years. I mean, you had the seeds of that idea when we first met.
Correct. And then the great thing about working with a film partner like this is when you have an idea like that, then you can start to bounce off each other and improve it and take it in different ways, because Jim added certain things to it that I was like, I didn't think of that. And it helped to develop the characters, it helped to develop the story and take it someplace different that I hadn't originally thought about. So that's one of the things I really like about the whole process, is that we both bring something to the table, and then we can sort of go, interesting, let's go with that. For instance, here's a really good idea too about ideas. So I was talking with somebody recently and they had an idea for something, and we usually like to do our own ideas. We don't we have so many different ideas, but I was curious to see what Jim thought about this one particular idea. And we have sort of an understanding that if one of us doesn't like the project or doesn't connect with it, that we're not going to do it as a Zen-like production. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be done elsewhere. So the idea didn't resonate with Jim. It resonated with me, but it's not going to work as a Zen-like production. So we move on because we have a drawer full of other ideas.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think has always, you know, made it work for us since day one is, as a writer, I generally work by myself, and I'm not a good collaborator generally, but right from the start, I mean, we've been on the same page where, you know, like even like doing those first films for 48 hours, it would be something where you would say, well, and then we could have the character do this. It's like, oh, and then he could say this. Yeah. And we would just bounce back and forth. And I think we've been really fortunate that, you know, we've generally, and sometimes, you know, one of us will say something that's completely ludicrous and the other one will say, it's not going to work. But I mean, we've been fortunate. We've had this collaboration kind of like Lennon and McCartney.
Wow.
Where it's kind of worked where we can build on each other's ideas.
And even if one of us says something that may not necessarily be correct or click at that moment, more often than not, it leads to something else. You know, because I mean, I can't remember a specific time, but I remember a couple times we've been working on the 40-hour films, and it'd be like, well, remember that thing that you mentioned before? We didn't like A, but what if you took that and you twisted it around? And you know, that's perfect. And the nice thing about it too is having a different set of eyes and ears on something can totally go, like Space Between, for instance. Yes, I've been kicking it around for a long time. I had a totally different title. I had a totally different way that it was going to sort of go originally by my original ideas. After you and I got together and started talking about it, all of a sudden you were like, well, wait a second. How does this happen then if this is going on? That's a big hole. You know, it's like, so then you got to sort of fix that. And then fixing that then might cause some other issue or something with the story. And then we're able to work that around. And it's been interesting how we've been able to take your ideas, my idea, and sort of go from there. The 48-hour ones were interesting because it was totally, both our ideas, of course, but totally fresh from the page. There was nothing. Meeting Dad we already had a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, When I Go, we already had a foundation. Space Between, it had a 7-page foundation, but it was a foundation.
Right.
So one of the next ones that we're thinking about doing, just tossing ideas out. How did that one come about? Because remember we were saying we want to do something again. We want to do something different, but what? And that's the question. Where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the ideas we're kicking around now are, based on people that we know that we have available. I mean, we've gotten to a point now where we've worked with, actors, and we kind of have, I guess, our favorites, and
Sure.
people who are available to us. And
Right.
it's like, okay, so we've got these two specific actors, and well, we've got a couple of different pairs of actors. It's like, what would be a vehicle that would work for them?
Correct.
And this is, I think, a different approach than we've used before, is trying to build someone around the talent that we know we have available.
That's true. We haven't done that before.
Mm-hmm.
We've sort of have done maybe small roles in some of the previous things, where we'd say, you know what, Tim would be perfect for this.
Right.
So what do you think about that process though? Is it backwards to start with the two actors and then develop something from that? Or is it just another way to look at it?
I think it's just another way to look at it. I don't think it's backwards at all.
Okay.
When you have actors that have certain strengths, and you can see them in certain roles, or you can see them playing different characters, and some people might say, well, you're limiting them. It's like, well, I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, the plays that I've written, some of them I've written with specific people in mind. This would be a perfect role for Ron. This would be a perfect role for Amanda.
Mhm.
Instead of the words just being words on a page, when you can visualize someone saying them or acting them out, I think that helps you during the writing process sometimes.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Because you're also working on a play, the one that you want Taylor Bay to play the character.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that, because also that was such an interesting story. That's obviously not going to be one of our short films, but it's still taking an actor that we know we've worked with and utilizing that actor in this production.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just thought that was interesting too, because like, what made you think that she would be able to play that role?
I mean, I've been in so many plays with her, and in a couple of films, and it's like you get to a point where you've seen enough. Okay.
It's just the other studio. We're filming something else in Studio B.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. I mean, you've seen them enough that you know how they would play something, or can envision them, both physically and, the energy she brings to a role. I could see this being a good vehicle
Yeah,
for her.
absolutely.
Some of the plays that I've written where I had specific people in mind for the role, they haven't been able to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, for example, there was one that we just did. It was a musical. It was a jukebox musical featuring songs from Tom Lehrer, the musical satirist. And there was a role in there that I wrote specifically for our friend Tim,
Mhm.
who we've used in several of our films.
Correct.
And he would have been perfect for it. And then he wasn't available to do it. And, and it didn't make the role any worse.
Right. That's what I was going
Because
to
it
ask you.
wasn't available.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie that it's a disappointment sometimes.
Right.
When you write something for a specific person in mind and then they aren't available.
But sometimes it works. It works in a good way. Like
Mhm.
even in big budget Hollywood films, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Mhm.
Harrison Ford, everyone knows, is Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Originally, they wanted Tom Selleck,
Right.
and it's
I
like
see it now.
now there's no way nobody but Harrison Ford could play that role.
And
So-
Tom Selleck might have been perfectly fine
Absolutely,
in that.
would have brought different.
Yeah.
So just like what was the other one? Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox, fantastic. You can't see anybody else in that role. But originally, they'd actually even done filming,
A lot of
filming and footage with, and I'm blanking out.
Eric Stoltz.
Thank you. Blanking out his
Mhm.
name. So
And it was a completely different energy
Yeah.
with Eric Stoltz.
right,
And at some point they decided that wasn't where they wanted to go with that character.
which is interesting how an actor can bring such a different vibe or energy that can change the whole. 'Cause I've seen clips. Nothing's changed. The set's the same. The lines are the same. It's just the actor, and it's a totally different feel to it.
And it's not that Eric Stoltz was bad.
Mm-mm.
it was just not where they wanted to go with it.
Yeah. And so, you got me thinking actually, as you were telling that story about how you've written a bunch of things specifically for actors. It just got me thinking there. And this whole episode is about how we come up with ideas. Don't you think it'd be fascinating to do a short film, maybe like a 5-minute-ish scene with 2 actors, but then you do the same exact scene with the 2 other actors, and then maybe you can do it a third time, but then figure out some way, which I can't figure out right now off the top of my head, how you tie that all in, like why there would be 3 sets of different actors doing the same exact moment. I don't know if you would I cut it in between like the scenes, or would you let the whole scene play out? What would be the point of that? I mean, I think it'd be an interesting exercise to see how different actors could portray that role. But I'm trying to figure out how, if there's a story in there somewhere. 'Cause for some reason, when you just talk about that, it just sort of sparked that idea.
It's kind of fascinating.
I think it is too. I think there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I think because that'd be such a really cool thing to do, especially with the actors. There's so much talent around here to put the different actors. Not that it's like a competition against each other, but just to see the different energy, the different vibe that it could bring. So, okay, so that's how ideas are sparked. That's how we kind of get our ideas. We sit together. Luckily, we work well together, and we can take things that we either disagree with or agree with. We put our points forward, and if it doesn't vibe, then we don't do it. We move on to something else, which is fine too, because you've done solo stuff. I've done solo stuff, but I'm looking forward to the next project. So to wrap up this episode, what do you think is going to be our biggest challenge for the next one? Like you said, we've been learning each one. What's going to be the biggest challenge for the next film that we do?
There's always multiple challenges.
True.
There's so many things that go into it. I mean, there's, the availability of the actors, where you're going to shoot it, how long it's going to be, how much editing it's going to take, what are you going to do for special effects, what are you going to do for music? I mean, the important thing is to get the ideas on paper and get them going, and then see what you need from there.
That's exactly what I was leading up to. It's, there's so many different challenges and so many things that have hit us over all these projects. But the good thing that I'm happy about and that I'm proud about is we've done it. We've overcome them. Yeah, we may not be 100% happy with them, and we might look back and go, could do something a little bit differently. But I really like the way that we've been collaborating together and working. So I'm looking forward to the next one, whatever that may be.
Yep. I was talking to another friend of mine who makes films over the weekend, and he's writing a screenplay right now. And he said something that was interesting. He always got bogged down when he was writing, and the screenplay he's been working on for a long time. And he said that he always would get bogged down because he would want to do something or have it look this way visually, and say to himself, oh, there's no way I could ever do that. I could never have the budget to do that, or I could never have the effects or the resources to make it look this way. And so he would, basically cross it out, throw it out, try to do something different. And he said he finally got to the point where it's like, I just have to write all of this stuff down. I just have to write it down the way I envision it first. And then when I go to shoot it, determine what I can do and what I can't do.
Absolutely.
But he was like self-editing before he got to that point, and he realized that it was bogging him down. It was preventing him from getting the script done.
Yeah. The main thing is, it's just, isn't there a famous line that says, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage?
Right.
So just get it down on the page.
Come with us on this journey.